The biggest lie about motivation is that you need it before you start. You don't. And the people who seem the most disciplined usually learned that the hard way. Because motivation is not the cause of action, it's the effect. That sounds backwards, which is exactly why so many people stay stuck for years. You tell yourself, I'll start when I feel ready, when I feel motivated, when I finally want it badly enough. But what if that feeling never comes first? What if the entire system you've been using is upside down? Think about the last time you procrastinated on something important. Going to the gym, studying, editing a video, cleaning your room, sending that email. You probably waited for the emotional switch to happen, that moment where suddenly your brain says, okay, let's do it. But instead, hours disappeared. And here's the strange part. The moment you finally started, it usually became easier after a few minutes. Not before, after. Why? Because action creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. There's actually a psychological reason for this. Your brain hates uncertainty and effort before movement begins. Starting costs energy. Continuing costs less, which means the hardest part of almost anything is the transition from stillness to motion. That's why people can scroll for 3 hours but struggle to work for 10 minutes. One keeps you passive, the other requires activation energy. Like pushing a car. The first push feels heavy, then suddenly it rolls. But here's where people destroy themselves. They mistake emotional readiness for discipline, and those are completely different things. Disciplined people are not constantly inspired. Most of the time, they don't feel like doing the thing either. They just stopped negotiating with their emotions every day. That's the difference. They removed the decision. Because motivation is emotional, systems are mechanical, and mechanical things are more reliable. Look closely at people who consistently improve at something. Writers, athletes, musicians, business owners. A lot of them have surprisingly boring routines. Not magical routines, not cinematic routines, boring ones. Same hour, same process, same trigger. Again and again. At first, that sounds uninspiring, but that's exactly why it works. Because relying on excitement is unstable. You know what's dangerous? Waiting to feel productive. That feeling is inconsistent. Sleep affects it. Stress affects it. Social media affects it. Even the weather affects it. If your progress depends on emotion, your progress becomes random. And there's another problem nobody talks about. Motivation addiction. A lot of people consume motivation instead of building systems. They watch videos, read quotes, save productivity clips, imagine their future self, and for a moment, they feel powerful, but nothing changes. Because inspiration can simulate progress without creating it. That's why someone can spend 2 years getting ready to change their life, without changing anything. Your brain loves preparation because preparation feels safe. Execution doesn't. Execution can fail. Execution can embarrass you. Execution reveals reality. So the brain chooses planning instead, again and again. Here's something uncomfortable. Sometimes procrastination isn't laziness, it's emotional avoidance. You avoid the gym because you don't want to feel weak. You avoid studying because you don't want proof you're behind. You avoid creating because bad work would hurt your ego. So your brain protects you by delaying action. Which means the solution is not wanting it more, the solution is reducing resistance. That changes everything. Because once you understand that, you stop asking, how do I stay motivated? And start asking, how do I make starting easier? Completely different question. And usually, the answer is smaller than you think. Instead of work out for an hour, you say, put on gym clothes. Instead of study all night, you say, open the document. Tiny actions sound weak, but psychologically, they're powerful because they bypass resistance. Remember the car? You're just trying to get it moving. And this is where the strange loop finally appears. Action creates evidence. Evidence changes identity. Identity changes behavior. That's the real cycle. Not motivation to action, but action to evidence to motivation. You go to the gym once, now your brain has proof. I'm someone who trains. You study for 20 minutes. Now your brain sees, I'm capable of focusing. Small wins sound insignificant, but your brain treats them like identity updates. That's why consistency beats intensity almost every time. One extreme day changes your mood. Repeated small actions change your self-image, and self-image is dangerous in the best way possible. Because once people genuinely believe, this is what I do now, discipline becomes less painful. There's also something else most people miss. You do not rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. A goal is temporary motivation. A system is what remains after motivation disappears. And motivation always disappears eventually, even for ambitious people, even for successful people, even for people you admire. The difference is they expected that, so they built around it. That's why some people look naturally disciplined. You're seeing the result of automation, not constant willpower. They reduced friction. They repeated behaviors. They removed unnecessary choices. And eventually, the behavior became normal. Not exciting, normal. Which brings us back to the beginning. The biggest lie about motivation is believing it comes first. Most of the time, it comes after you begin, after the first minute, after the first repetition, after the first ugly attempt. People wait for fire, but the fire usually appears because of movement, not before it. So if you've been stuck, stop trying to feel different first. Stop waiting for the perfect mindset, the perfect morning, the perfect burst of inspiration. Start smaller than your ego wants. Make the action almost laughably easy. Because once movement begins, your brain changes with it. And that's the part nobody tells you. Motivation is unreliable, but momentum changes people.